What's up guys, Mark here, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be going over my thoughts and review of the Viva Las Vengeance tour. Now, I had the chance to see Brendon Urie and of course Panic! At the Disco live at Madison Square Garden, and I have been waiting for a long time to talk about it. I saw the concert like 2 weeks ago, so this has been on my mind for a while. I've been very busy the past month, so it's really nice to finally have a chance to sit down and get back into my reviews. This video is going to be a list of things I liked and didn't like from the concert. So with that said, let's jump into my first pro. My first pro for this concert and for the tour in general is that the opening acts are really strong. For this tour, we have opening acts Jake Wesley Rogers and Marina. Now, Jake Wesley Rogers, I knew nothing about before this concert. I have a couple songs of his in my playlist now. Definitely a different kind of music than Panic, but one I really like nonetheless. And of course, Marina, who I knew a little bit from that Bubblegum song that I'm not sure I can say on YouTube, and also Prima Donna. Both really great songs. And so it was really great to see both of these artists live before Panic. And you might be wondering, why am I talking about the opening acts when I'm supposed to be talking about, of course, Brendon Urie and Panic! At the Disco? Well, one thing I really liked was that during one of the songs, which was House of Memories, Brendon actually got Jake Wesley Rogers on stage to perform a duet with him, which I thought was really cool and definitely was a welcome addition to that song. I think it actually really elevated the song. Jake is actually a really good vocalist and really held his own with Brendon Urie, and the two artists had a lot of chemistry on stage. Definitely one of my favorite parts, and I'm really glad that Brendon brought Jake Wesley Rogers and Marina on the tour with him. Having them as the opening acts set the tone for the whole thing in a really good way and made everyone in the audience, at least me, kind of pumped up and really excited to see what came next. So with that, let's move on to my first con. And this first con I have here is basically that this set list doesn't really have that much old Panic, and also a lot of the songs that are on the set list are songs that either have been played at previous concerts or songs that maybe have not been played on previous concerts, like House of Memories, but are still very well-known songs. Like that song went viral on TikTok, and I wish that some of the songs that like you never hear at concerts, like some of my favorites, which are Far Too Young to Die and the majority of Pretty Odd and Vices and Virtues, would have been played at this concert. For instance, none of the songs from Vices and Virtues were in this set list, which was very disappointing for me as someone who loves that album a lot. If you go back and watch my top 7 album review for Panic! At the Disco, you will see that Vices and Virtues is very high up there, and plus those bonus tracks probably would have been first or second place. So with that said, it was a little bit disappointing that none of the songs were from that album or were just lesser known songs. I will say though, I do get it, like you don't want to alienate your audience by playing songs that they've never heard before, but also the thing is Brendon's playing a lot of the new album songs, the Viva Las Vengeance songs, and I think a lot of audience members might not know those songs either. A lot of casual audience members that just know Panic for I Write Sins probably haven't even heard the album. Like the friends that I went with, one of them actually never heard any of the songs on Viva Las Vengeance, I think outside of like 1 or 2. So just would kind of like Brendon to shake it up a bit in his set list. Like I really would have loved something like he did during the Death of a Bachelor tour. During that tour, which was actually my first Panic concert, Brendon pulled out a medley of the songs from Fever, which was really cool, really surprising, because I did not expect to hear any of those songs. And one thing I will say too is that I actually don't look at the set list before concerts usually, especially when it comes to bands that I really enjoy. I just want to be surprised. You know, there's something about going into a concert and not really knowing what to expect that I just enjoy. I want the artist to take me on a journey, so I kind of just, you know, lose myself in the concert. And I'm going to get into that in one of my further cons, which will have to do with the set list. And a lot of you, I think, can probably guess what that will be. But with that, let's move back into the positives of my review with my next pro, which is the songs I actually didn't like so much were some of my favorite songs live. If you watch my album review of Viva Las Vengeance, some songs that I put a little lower on my list, like Sugar Soaker or even Middle of a Breakup, were songs I didn't really like that much at first, songs that were definitely not my favorites off the album. However, at the concert, those were 2 of my favorite songs that Brendon performed live. I think my favorite song of the night by far was actually Sugar Soaker. For whatever reason, I just had so much fun with that song. I feel like that was kind of the most danceable song out of all the songs, not only off the album, but kind of just off the set list. The other songs were cool too, but I feel like that song I just had the best experience, the best time with. A lot of the songs can be kind of hard to dance to, but Sugar Soaker and even Middle of a Breakup, those songs are danceable. Definitely made me appreciate those songs a lot more for what they are. Even songs like Local God, which I don't like that much in general, I had a lot of fun with at the concert. So that was a big deal to me and definitely a big pro for this tour. With that, let's move on to another little bit of criticism for the Viva Las Vengeance tour. Again, still a great tour, but just some little nitpicks here and there. And this next little nitpick really is a little nitpick. I mean, it's not a big deal at all. Who am I to judge for this, but I do want to be honest about what I thought about the concert, and that little con that I have is the vocals. Now, hear me out, this is not all the vocals. This is just some of the vocals on only some of the songs. One song that I really noticed it on was Sad Clown. Now, if you didn't see my Viva Las Vengeance album review, Sad Clown is my favorite song off the album, and so I was really excited to hear it live. Things were going well, and even all by yourself, he was hitting a lot of those notes. He seemed to be sounding really good, seemed like his vocal cords were like not totally fried just yet. Then he got the Sad Clown, and that's where I started to hear a lot of vocal strain, and it just kind of sounded like he wasn't quite hitting those notes, or at least when he was hitting those notes, it just really strained his vocal cords. And for me, that was very noticeable, and it kind of took me out of the experience just a little bit. Now, again, that was my favorite song off the album, but I did end up leaving the concert a little bit disappointed with his performance of that particular song. And I'm not sure if that was the case for other concerts, but again, it is a very vocally demanding song. This kind of was an issue for the next couple songs after that, but again, it really started and I think was the most pronounced on Sad Clown. Otherwise, it was okay. I mean, Brendan Urie is obviously a fantastic vocalist normally, so all the other songs sounded really great. Even the ones where he was straining a bit, it still sounded good. Just on Sad Clown, which was a disappointment because I love that song. And I also wish that he would have had, I guess, just more stuff on stage for that song, because I think that song is one of the most theatrical songs, but in the actual performance, we didn't have any wigs being tossed. We didn't have any 18th century people running around. I wish it would have felt more like a Broadway production than just Brendan singing, but that's just my opinion there. That's not really a big pro or con for that. But yeah, just Sad Clown let me down, which I'm sad to say. I felt like he did try to reach a lot of high notes in this concert. I mean, a lot of high notes, even when I felt they weren't so necessary, and just kind of, took me out of the experience a little bit. But that's pretty much it. I guess one other thing about the vocals that I want to critique is just I wish that he would kind of, instead of doing so many high notes, maybe incorporate more deep vocals, because I know he has a fantastic deep voice. I wish he would really kind of lean more into that. I mean, again, I love the high notes, but it does kind of start to sound like he's just doing high notes for the sake of it, and that kind of takes me out of the song a bit. Like, even in This Is Gospel, he put a lot of high notes towards the end. I think it just kind of got tiring after a while for me because he had so many high notes, and it just became almost like a gimmick in my opinion. With that, let's move on to my next pro, which is actually Brendan playing every song from Viva Las Vengeance. This actually ties into my next con, which we'll get into in a minute. I do like that he played every song on the album. What I don't like is that they were all in order, but I do like that he gave airtime to every song that we had on this new album. With this new album, I honestly didn't see too much marketing for it. I'm not sure how popular it was outside of the Panic community, and I also saw a lot of really bad reviews for it. So what I like is that Brendan showcased every song on this album live, so that fans that maybe didn't listen to the album get to hear all the songs live, and also so that fans that might have not liked the album will get a chance to hear it live and maybe change their opinion, because I think that a lot of these songs, they work a lot better live than they do in the studio version. This definitely gave me a much better appreciation for the album, and a lot of the songs that I maybe didn't like so much at first, I definitely like a lot more now. Star Spangled Banner, I still cannot stand, but I do like it just a little bit more now that I heard it live. Again, Brendan does a great job at presenting a lot of these songs. Songs like Sad Clown, I think, might have not been translated too well on stage, but all the other songs sounded amazing and were just a lot of fun. Now, we're gonna get into my next con, which I think is probably the biggest con I have for this concert as a whole. It really is just that he played all the songs in order. Now, like I said, I did not look at the set list before the concert, right? So I really did not know what to expect. And then we got to Viva Las Vengeance, which I thought was awesome. And then we got to Middle of a Breakup, which I had a great time dancing to. Then we got to Don't Let the Light Go Out, which again, a fantastic song that I love a lot. And then we got on to Local God, and I was like, well, this is interesting. He's almost going in order with the actual album. For me, it just kind of like dampened the excitement that I had because I knew what to expect. I knew what was coming next. That bothered me so much, to be honest. Like, by the time Do It All to Death came around, I just kind of tuned out by that point. It just felt so predictable to me. And then also the fact that I only left a bit of room for the other songs, like the old Panic songs. Now, I wouldn't have minded this so much if the songs on Viva were spaced out a little better. Let's say we have like Viva Las Vengeance, and then we have Far Too Young to Die. Well, wishful thinking, I know. And then we have Middle of a Breakup, and then we have 9 in the Afternoon, like something like that. But I will say that by the time he was done with the album, I was able to pretty quickly get back into it, especially once Girls, Girls, Boys came on. That's when I was like, okay, yeah, totally back in it. I loved that performance too, and I also love the thing he did with the hearts. I don't know if you know this, he has these little heart cutouts that when you turn your flashlight on, you put over your phone. They're like little paper things you put over your phone. All the colors of the pride flag lit up Madison Square Garden that night, and it was just awesome during that song. So yeah, by that point, I was able to get back into it. I just wish I wasn't taken out of it in the first place. I really enjoyed this concert. It was a lot of fun. It was interesting. The songs were good, even if I didn't like the order of them. Brendan's vocals, as usual, were great, even though in some places they were a little bit strained. I thought the production value was incredible. I think this is probably one of the best produced concerts that I've ever been to. I don't know how much that's saying because I don't really go to concerts too often, but this really blew me away in terms of production. I love the visual effects with the LEDs in the background. I think they really added to all the songs. The singers, the guitarists were great, and Nicole Rowe and all the touring members were, as usual, on point. Overall, great job. And also, of course, having Jake Wesley Rogers show up for House of Memories, I loved that. That was such a great addition. So with that, I'm going to give this overall an 8 out of 10. I think it was really good, but the cons I do have for this concert did kind of chip away some of the excitement I had going in, and so that's why I can't give this like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. I think 8 out of 10 is a pretty good spot to give this concert, just because there is so much that I really do have criticisms for, but of course those criticisms aren't so heavy so as to really drown out all the pros. Again, this was a fantastic concert overall, just some things I really just didn't like that much. I mean, not every concert is going to be a 10 out of 10. This concert was really good still. I had a great time, and as usual, Brendan gave us a fantastic show. But I really want to know what you think about this concert, about this tour. Were you at MSG? Were you at a different venue? Let's start a discussion down below. And yeah, with that, thank you all so much for watching this video. These videos do take a while to make, and especially with my very busy schedule right now, it's kind of tough to find time for YouTube. So any support you can give, I really appreciate. Just like, comment, subscribe. I would really appreciate that. This has been my review of the Panic at the Disco Viva Las Vengeance tour, at least for the concert I went to in Madison Square Garden. And with that, thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Peace.